Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Kathleen Couturier. I am the coordinator for the Veteran and First Responder programs at MDSC, Mood Disorder Society of Canada. So welcome to the Mental Health Programs and Support session, sponsored by the Royal Canadian Legion Dominion. Let's start by honoring the territory. Next slide. We acknowledge that we live, work, and meet and travel on the unceded traditional territories of the Indigenous peoples, First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. They are the traditional guardians of this land that we call Canada. We value their wisdom. We honor and respect them. And now just a few items from the housekeeping perspective. Next slide. So your microphones are muted and the session will be recorded. We will make sure to post this session online after. And so the chat and Q&A functions are also disabled. There will be a satisfaction survey at the end. Please make sure to fill out the survey. If anyone is concerned about sensitive content during this session, please take care of yourself. And so without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Deb Turner, who is the Director of Veterans and First Responders Programs at the Mood Disorder Society of Canada. Deb, over to you.
Thanks so much, Kat, and welcome everyone. It's my pleasure today to introduce you to the panel of guest speakers we have lined up for this next hour. We've got a full agenda, and we're going to start it off with introducing Don Marentette, who is a CAF veteran who resides in beautiful British Columbia. He's also a Mood Disorder Society of Canada peer support facilitator. He's going to share his journey and his story with you. Over to you, Don.
Thanks, Deb. Hi, everyone. As Deb said, my name is Don. I'm a former CAF member. I served 20 years and started in the infantry with PPCLI, mainly in the 2nd Battalion, and then I remustered to later as a medic. I used to think I was really good at handling things until I wasn't. Thanks for having me here today. I'll try to keep things pretty informal. I'm going to share a little bit of my story and my journey with mental health in this space. Over those 20 years, I had several postings across Canada and overseas. I did multiple operational tours in some pretty incredibly intense environments and challenging environments. There were very specific incidents that I won't share today that on those tours that really stuck with me and probably contributed to where I ended up. I want to say that I worked with some incredibly awesome people and had a career that I was really proud of. Somewhere along the way, though, during that career, things started to really change for me. I was dealing with the symptoms of PTSD that, well, I was still serving, although at the time I really didn't have a name for it. And honestly, I don't know that I really wanted to. I know that it was painful, and I really was not sleeping at night at all. I did receive lots of treatments along the way, but never really leaned into them. I always seemed to have one foot out of the treatment kind of modality and one foot in. I would share that my main coping strategy at the time was just to stay busy, 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 busy. I was whatever I can get do to sort of distract myself. I think now I look back and it was just really a distracting, I guess, strategy that I was employing. Kept focusing on everything else and everyone else but me. And if I didn't have to slow down long enough to deal with what was going on inside. On the outside, I think I looked pretty good. I think I was managing. But inside, it was a really different story. I felt alone all the time. And even when I was surrounded by people, there's a lot of darkness there that I kept pushing down. And sometimes I think back and I'm really good at putting cement on pain and pouring cement in. I became an expert cement mixer and pouring it on and pushing things down. And I think like a lot of us, I got really good at hiding it. That approach carried me through a lot of my career until it didn't anymore. I got to a place that my symptoms were starting to impact day to day. And me and the CAF sort of came to a mutual agreement that it was time to end our relationship. but I had some skills. And so when I transitioned out of the military, I entered into a paramedic career. And it wasn't long after, though, that things really started to catch up. Um, Without that structure of the military and still being exposed to trauma, albeit in a different way, the symptoms got worse, a lot worse. I found myself in some really dark places, really lonely places, suicide attempts. My marriage is ending. I was really struggling with different addictions. I've been into rehab. And all the while, I was really trying to convince myself that I could push through it like I always had. I was good at pushing it down and pushing through. But really, at that point, it was clear that pushing through and pushing down wasn't working for me anymore. I had to start changing the way that I looked at it. I thought that I was dealing with weakness, and I think that was something that's always kind of stuck with me. Was I was really worried about that. I had a fear of looking or feeling weak and admitting it. I wasn't strong enough. But I came to realize that I, I wasn't weak. I just wasn't feeling well. I was sick. I think that word weakness is a term that gets thrown around quite a bit. It's a label I think that we put on people that are finally admitting that they're struggling with something, some mental health. Um, and for me, the shift in how I saw myself was a big difference maker. I'll share the turning point for me that was specifically, and I can think back to a time I was at an OSI clinic and I was at another failed group session. I was really frustrated again and just didn't feel like I was getting anywhere. I wasn't getting anything out of it. Me and groups often didn't work well. Um, and I was really getting ready to walk away from the whole process again. And after the session, it was late afternoon, and we're getting ready to go, and one of the other cohorts members up here from the group came over to me and gave me this really big hug, and it was something was so impactful to me. It completely caught me off guard, and I just remember in that moment a switch clicked. For the first time in a really long time, I didn't feel alone. Um, and it might sound like a small thing to people, but it was a huge thing for me. And that was really the beginning of my journey and wellness journey. Um, it's been 8 years for me, and I won't pretend that it's been a straight line. Had ups and downs and lefts and rights, and there's been a lot of setbacks and tough days. But the good days far outweigh the bad days now, and it's starting to feel better. I've learned that staying busy isn't the same as being well. I've learned how to slow down. I learned how to recognize what's going on with me, how to feel. And that's a big thing for me is how to feel instead of just burying it. And probably most importantly, I've learned how to accept the support from other people. And I would say that sense of connection, that not feeling alone, has become a big part of how I manage things now. If there's one thing that I could pass along, it's this. You don't have to do this alone. Even when it feels like you are, there are people out there who get it. There's people out there that have been there. There's people willing to stand beside you. And to have the hope, and we talk about hope quite a bit. And actually, uh, someone had said to me not too long ago, and it might even be Jody who's here today, that hope stands for hang on because the pain ends. And I'm here to tell you that it does. And there are people to help you with that. So yeah, that's it for me. Thanks for listening.
So, Dawn,
Mhm.
thank you so much, first of all, for sharing your story. And I know it's very impactful, not only for you, but for the audience members as well. Can you share with us, in addition to that peer support worker that came over and gave you that hug, what other services and supports were meaningful to you? Because this seminar is all about services and supports that are available to our veterans and veteran family members.
Yeah, it's a great question, Deb. It's hard for me to pin down, but I can definitely say that the service officer in the Legion, and I honestly believe that were incredibly helpful in helping me navigate the amazing services that VAC has in place and help me connect in with an OSI clinic. So they all kind of fit together. And initially it was really, I didn't know what was available, what was going on for me. I had so much confusion. I just couldn't figure things out. And someone had connected me in to the Legion and branch in Manitoba. So yeah, it was, that's one thing I would definitely say. And then I have a therapist that I feel incredibly safe with, and she's amazing. She's actually, like I said, I often laugh and it's not funny, but I often say that she's a lifesaver for me. So yeah, is that help? Is that what, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And
Mhm.
so today, folks, this session is all about linking into the services and supports for our veterans and veteran family members. We're going to be sharing not only Mood Disorder Society of Canada's resources and information, but other stories from Jody that Dawn had just alluded to, and our Royal Canadian Legion Dominion Command is going to also be sharing their services and supports. At the very end of today's seminar, I'll be sharing some additional resources and links from other organizations, and we'll put that in the chat closer to the time where we're going to be presenting that slide so that you have an opportunity to take that information down, because there's some really great contacts for you to seek out should you need them. So let's go to the next slide, Diana. Thank you so much. So I'm going to kick today's session off with just providing an overview of the veteran and veteran program services and supports that we offer for veterans and veteran family members. These services and supports are free. There's no fee, no hidden fee, and they are all evidence-based, which means that we track to ensure that these are meaningful and that they deliver a sense of satisfaction to the veterans and veteran family members that take them. And we do that by surveying through an anonymous tool so that we get information back just in time. And we do occasionally adjust our programs to ensure that they're relevant and just in time. So let's start off by talking about our introduction to our peer support training. This is a 2-day workshop. It's delivered by Zoom. It has fantastic ratings. We've been delivering this for the last several years. It seems to be a mainstay and quite a draw. Key to this is that we actually delivered the program with a trauma-informed mental health professional kicking that 2-day session off for 4 hours. And then veterans such as Dawn and Jody actually teach this session, and they're fully trained on the program as well. We do have spring offerings out and available. So if you would like to register, if you're a veteran or veteran family member, please just sign up by completing a registration form, and we'd be happy to confirm your registration into our spring offerings. We don't deliver any of our workshops over the summer because the summer is to enjoy, and we would take a break until the fall. In addition to our level 1 peer support, we have our 3 nationwide mental health seminars that the Royal Canadian Legion Dominion had sponsored for us. The previous 2, if you missed them, are out on our website, the mdsc.ca website, and all are highly rated. After today's seminar, we'll be sure to post today out on our website as well, so you will have access to it. We'll go to the next slide, Diana, please. Mental health resources. Well, Mood Disorders Society of Canada has been in existence since the late 90s, and we've also been incorporated since 2001. We have a lot of resources out there, and again, they're free for the viewing online or for the download. They're written in everyday speak, so there's no mumbo jumbo or gobbledygook from a medical perspective, but they're just in time information. If you wanted, there are 3 different websites you can access: Mood Disorder Society of Canada, Depression Hurts, and Pathways to Benefits. Let's go to the next slide, please, Diana. So we also have another program that we manage, and we provide level 2 peer support training. It's new, started in the fall of last year. Veterans and family members who had taken our level 1 asked for a level 2, and we're proud to provide it. It's really a roll up the sleeve and let's talk about the more complicated aspects of peer support. So it's really for the experienced peer supporter, and the ratings right now are at 98.5%. Just an outstanding one-day workshop for experienced peer supporters to attend. We have a First Step webinar series that is hosted by Michael Landsberg. Some of you may know Michael from his days at Sportsnet when he was a nationwide, well-known Canadian sports newscaster, suffered from debilitating depression in the height of his career, and he stepped back and now he's a huge mental health advocate. This really talks about taking the first step rather to good mental health. Let's go to the next step slide there, Diana, please. Thank you. We also have available for veterans and veteran family members an opportunity to give back to the veteran and veteran family member community. We have a hub that's posted online, and it features not only MDSC volunteer opportunities, but opportunities from other veteran like-minded organizations. We're going to be posting over the next week or so several spring opportunities, so be sure to check that out. It's also a great opportunity for other organizations to share their veteran volunteer opportunities and have it in one spot. Companionship calls. These are social calls that are one-on-one with a trained veteran or veteran family member. It's that connection that these calls provide to veterans that are registered in the program. And here's a very common themed quote from one of our veteran participants who had been receiving calls for 2 years. I'm going to read it because I know some of you are joining using your telephones. I know I'm not the only other veteran who has benefited from these calls. When you feel alone, it makes things much harder to deal with, and these weekly check-ins always seem to arrive when I most needed them, allowing me to face another week. Next slide, please, Diana. And at this point, I wanted to introduce you to Diana Vince. She's our director of our Pathways to Benefits program. Over to you, Diana.
Thank you so much, Deb. Hello, everyone. We are thrilled to see all of you joining us today. I'm briefly going to go over the Pathway to Benefits program, which is a free national initiative that is led by MDSC to help Canadians with disabilities and their families access the financial supports that they are entitled to and very often miss out on. Pathway to Benefits is also funded by the Government of Canada's Disability Benefits Navigation Program. So just in general, letting you know that any of the views expressed here are not necessarily the views of the Government of Canada. The Pathway to Benefits program, what we essentially offer is navigation support for people that are applying for the disability tax credit for the Canada Disability Benefit, which was launched in the summer of June 2025, and other provincial and territorial disability supports. The program is free, it is inclusive and person-centered. We do offer a one-on-one navigation support that is extremely personalized with helping people complete their applications. We also have an online website that is easy to use, digital tools. You can find resources. You can find monthly webinars that we also host for our program to help support people. It is very centralized, all of the information that we've gathered on our website, and I'm going to be sharing with you in the chat some of the links so like that you can navigate, surf around on your own. We do have peer and trained volunteers for the program. It is extremely culturally informed, empathetic support, and our goal really is to outreach and make sure that we are able to serve underserved communities. So the information you'll see on the slide here before you, and I've included in the chat as well. You can visit us at benefitspathway.ca or call or text us at 1-888-975-9990 or email us at info@benefitspathway.ca. And now, without further wait, I will hand it over to my colleague, Ken, who is a program director here at Mood Disorder Society of Canada, and he will go over the MIRA program.
Thank you very much, Diana, and welcome everybody. It's my privilege to talk today a little bit about MIRA, one of our great programs, and confessing I'm a bit of a techie, and that's why I got involved with the MIRA program. And it's very timely because it talks about AI and its intersection with mental health, which is a very important topic. We developed MIRA in 2021 to kind of address the healthcare workers' stress during the pandemic. But since then, AI has completely transformed it. In its essence, MIRA is a free, anonymous mental health system navigation tool that's empathic and conversational. It uses AI to match users to vetted mental health resources, self-care tools, and information filtered by need, location, and language. Like I said, it was originally designed for healthcare workers and in Alberta and Nova Scotia, and it is now available Canada-wide to anyone who's looking for assistance. And thanks to the amazing partners that we've had the opportunity to work with, everybody from the University of Alberta, the University of Saskatchewan, Dalhousie, Western, the Alberta Machine Intelligence Institute, Digital Hub for Mental Health, AI for Society, Research Mental Health Canada, Connex Ontario, the Indigenous Health and Research Hub, as well as the Knowledge Institute for Child and Child Mental Health and Addictions. Next slide. So, what are some of the things that it does? It uses what we call LLMs, and if you're not familiar with AI, that's a term that describes the way that most modern AI systems are working. Generative AI means that it has the mandate to answer questions and to provide in a very easy to understand way. So we use MIRA in that way to create a very natural, empathic conversation and allow it to have a smarter retrieval of the resources that are needed. So that's the idea: is you have a conversation with MIRA, it picks up on what you're saying, and then recommends resources that seem to match it. Partnerships with Connex Ontario, GI Society, Migraine Canada, and all those allows us to offer services to our partners that they wouldn't necessarily have had before, either through the use of an intelligent AI system, but also accessing systems that they don't necessarily have access to. And one of the things that we wanted to make sure right from the start is that we developed it in a secure environment so that it was private and not sharing data with anybody. So we are hosting it securely at University of Alberta with extensive volunteer network, which helps us grow the library and test system improvements, including veterans who are helping to sort out the veteran resources that are available. And so if you have an interest in this type of thing, by all means. Safety guardrails: we do not diagnose, we do not offer medical advice. It's perfect, it's very private, and it only offers expert vetted resources. It does not go to the open internet. The most important thing about MIRA is that it uses a message classifier system in order to escalate any message that reflects self-harm, and it blocks harmful messages, including off-topic and what we call jailbreaks, responses, grounding information to only things that have been approved. And in that way, we can kind of guarantee the safety, or we can assure the safety of individual users. Unlike a lot of off-the-shelf chatbot systems that are out there, AIs, they are not necessarily designed for mental health support. So I would caution the use of them for that type of support. As I mentioned, it's private, anonymous. It's Canadian data stored in Canadian servers. We do bias checks to make sure that it's free of any kind of bias. And we are working towards creating a system that is explainable so that you can understand why MIRA asks or offers the resources that they are currently offering. And with that, I will hand it back over to the team. And again, if you have any questions, by all means.
Hey, Ken, I have one question that you may be able to answer because we've got
Sure.
a lot of people on the seminar today. How did they get MIRA?
You go to mymira.ca, and I think we're going to put it up in the chat if you're interested in looking at it.
That would be great. Thank you so much, Ken, for that. Appreciate it. And thank you, Diana, for posting mymira.ca in the chat for those that are attending. So the significance is if you are a veteran or veteran family member and you're looking to find some additional veteran resources or just some general information on mental health, mental illness, mymira.ca, as Ken had mentioned, is loaded with vetted Canadian information. So thank you so much, Ken, and Diana, for the updates. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure at this point in the program to introduce you to Jody Hudec. Jody is a veteran, a CAF veteran who resides in Ontario, and she's going to do a quick recap of her journey. Jody was featured in our January seminar for those of you that joined for that 1 hour time frame. And she's going to talk about the services and supports that she not only provides to others, but that she participated in herself. So over to you, Jody.
Thank you, Deb. And I want to say thank you, everyone, for having me. My journey in some parts is very much like that of Dawn's. We had a long career in the military. I've had over 30 plus years in the military environment. And the biggest part, much like Dawn's, we have to sooner or later transition. And it's in that transition, whether you had a good career or not, we quite often find difficulty. You know, I got up every morning, I knew what to wear, I put my hair up, I knew where I was going every day. I was posted coast to coast and overseas and never had to worry much. And then in that transition from leaving the military on my release, I got lost. And the transition, whether you're a police officer, a nurse, a teacher, for many years you have been that person. And all of a sudden you find yourself, well, who am I if I'm not that? If I'm not putting on my boots every day? So in that tradition, I went looking for myself, and PTSD sneaks up on you. Depression sneaks up on you. I've had several failed attempts at looking for a job because I didn't know what to wear. I didn't know what to say. I thought they actually wanted to know all about me and my family life, and that didn't transition well to civilian. And my experience, although different than Dawn's, I had hope, and what I found, I went through Facebook and I found the Mood Disorders Society of Canada, and they have a wonderful program that Deb talked about, and it was on peer support, peer and trauma support training. So I took the course. It was a 2-day course, and it was absolutely fabulous. And in that time, to try and get myself out of the hole I was digging, I anchored myself to education. I went back and I worked on my university's degree. So I used that as an anchor while trying to find myself. Now, not everybody can do that because we're all different here and we all have different careers. Like I said, you could be a police officer, a teacher, in the same job for 30 plus years. But you find that anchor just to support yourself and help yourself one step at a time. And the Mood Disorder Society helped me with that. I got onto their program as a peer support, a companion caller. And talking to others really, really helped me find my own way. I allowed myself to help others, and others, I allowed them to help me. Because if you notice, the one key aspect through this whole presentation is connection. Connection, connection. And even though I will admit I'm a very much an introvert, I love my alone time and I do live by myself, but I'm also human and I do need that connection. And the peer support and companionship calling program was absolutely fabulous. I felt so good after a phone call. I helped another veteran. They were facing homelessness and they were quite in a destitute position. But the other key factor that you'll hear throughout this program is not only connections but references. I keep a contact book here that has, if I can't help you, I know a place down the street that can help you. So references, resources is the word I'm looking for. Resources, resources. So also in my journey, while I connected with Mood Disorder Society, I also connected with the Legion. A lot of veterans today shy away from the Legion, and I don't know why, but I'm going to find out. That's my new mission. But as Veterans Affairs, as I transitioned from the military, Veterans Affairs allowed me to do school. But in that transition, I left Veterans Affairs and the Royal Canadian Legion took my hand. I showed up at the Legion and they said, well, how about being a service officer? So I went through some of their programs, attended some of their conferences, and I realized I had a lot of resources and a lot of connections that could help other people. Now, some of our elderly veterans have a hard time navigating the Veterans Affairs paperwork. They either don't have a computer, the computer skills to go online and hook up with MyVac. So we're there to help. And it was wonderful. And as I took these little steps in connection, it was in turn helping me. It wasn't quite the hug that Dawn got, but it was a virtual hug nonetheless. And I continue to support the Mood Disorder Society and the Royal Canadian Legion.
Hey, Jody, I had a thought here, and my camera is being stubborn. It's not coming on. There we go. Can you maybe share with the audience how you have helped other veterans in your role with the Legion? I know you've shared a couple of stories with me.
Well,
Ribbons?
it's a wide range of services. I found out that some of our Centurion World War II soldiers, who thankfully are still with us, never received their medals. So last year, I had the honor of helping present several medals to our Centurions. Pardon me. And I never saw smiles go from ear to ear as when they got their World War II medals. So I connected with, sorry, I'm trying to get over a cold. So I connected with the powers to be got their medals, and the Royal Canadian Legion set up a little ceremony, and we invited the mayor and their families, and it was great. A lot of requests that come in today is the old service cards are worn and torn, so we get them their NDI 75 veteran military card and get them all up to date. And a lot of claims, like helping with paperwork, is for hearing. Some of the older veterans, they're declining and didn't realize that they could access those resources. So as a service officer, when they walk in the door and I say, yes, I can help you, that is fabulous. Or sometimes it's the family member of a veteran. And we support also the RCMP veterans and their families. And they come in and like I said, when I tell them, yes, come have a seat, I can help you, it's absolutely fabulous. Or sometimes it's as simple as my grandfather was in the military and I never knew him. And he was in World War I. I have the access and resources to pull their World War I records. And there was one time I put it in a binder, and this gentleman didn't know who his father was, but he was World War I. So I got his file from the Library and Archives of Canada and pulled all the resources that I could find online, and I presented him with a book. And I called him up and said, let's do lunch. And we had lunch, and he sat there and started reading, and he goes, he had to ask permission to marry my mother when he was in the military. We had a good laugh over that because the gentleman was 31 at the time. So yeah, sources like that. So like the key functions in this presentation is connection and resources. And I hope everyone here, I mean, you all have a chance to reach out to people, find your people, and we're good. Deb?
Thank you so much, Jody, for sharing your story. And I'm sorry you're getting over a cold, especially on today when it just reared its ugly head. But thank you for sharing. It's my pleasure now to introduce you to Alexa Pasha. Alexa is with the Royal Canadian Legion Dominion Command, and she is a veteran service officer. So over to you, Alexa.
Thanks so much, Deb, and thanks, Jody. Jody touched upon some great pieces that the Legion offers across from the branches as well as what we do at Provincial and Dominion. So today, what we're going to talk about is some of the services that veterans, and when we speak about veterans, we are including still serving members, RCMP members. So please know it's not just CAF, it's also RCMP and still serving. About what supports they can get from us, okay? So the first thing is that the Legion is a very complex organization. I think everybody is kind of aware of that. We know that, we think we kind of understand, and then it's like, oh no, we have another acronym or another portion of it that you kind of unlayer. But the key is that we've been operating for 100 years in various capacities and roles. One of the take home that I want all of you guys to know is that our services are 100% free. And I highlight that because there are some services and organizations that are coming forward that are charging money for the services that are offered by myself at my level at Dominion Command, the provincial levels, and the branch levels, as well as at Veterans Affairs and the Bureau of Pension Advocates, okay? And you don't need to have a Legion membership. So kind of to Jody's point, you know, some people shy away from us. Even if you want to shy away from being a member, but you want support, we're still here to help you. And that is another message that I really want to get out there, is that you do not have to be have membership. We're not going to ask you to get membership. If you just want support for the other pieces, then we're happy to do that. We are based off of a lot of volunteers, and if we didn't have those volunteers in the branches and in some of the parts of the country that we have, we would not be able to operate the way that we do. So we're very lucky that we have so many people who are dedicated, who put their time and effort into supporting our veterans in our community. We have 27 command service officers. Now that number is always changing. We've added a few, and we have 9 assistant service officers. And we can go to the next slide, where I'll kind of explain the breakdown of the different roles, because not every person touches the same piece, which is kind of where it does get confusing. So we have our lovely branch service officers who are the volunteers. So if you go into a Legion branch, you might meet a branch service officer there, and that's usually the first point of contact. There are boots on the ground. They're the folks who really, if I'm calling somebody who lives in rural Nova Scotia and I can't get to them, there's usually a branch service officer that the provincial command or myself can reach out to, where the branch service officer is willing to go drop off the forms or pick up the forms and really kind of help facilitate whatever is needed in that moment for that veteran. Then we have provincial command service officers. And at the provincial command service officer point and at the Dominion command point, we're also called national headquarters, which is kind of confused. That's the confusing part. So our provincial command service officers and our Dominion command service officers are security cleared by Veterans Affairs. And so what this means that a lot of people don't know is that we actually have a memorandum of understanding with Veterans Affairs Canada. So we have to get security cleared through them. And then once that goes through, we actually have Veterans Affairs computers where we're able to work within a portion of their system. With the veteran's consent, we can see service health records. We can see the pieces that we need or might need to aid in applying for different applications. So outside of that, we also help veterans navigate the system that is the beautiful system, which Dawn pointed out. VAC does offer a lot of great programs. It's just can be a little bit complex trying to get to them and navigate through it. So we do try to support with that navigation of the system. Both at the provincial command level and the Dominion command level, we support our veterans at the appeal stage. So that's if you've heard of the Veterans Review and Appeal Board. If a client has been denied a first application and now they're going through the various stages of appeals, we actually will support in that. So we create the evidence, we build the packages, we bundle that up, we send it off to the Veterans Review and Appeal Board for them to kind of decide and ruling. And what's amazing is we have a lot of provincial command service officers who will actually go with the veteran, so can attend in person for those appeal meetings. I mean, anytime we do something like that, it can be a little bit stressful. So to have an advocate, to have somebody on your side with you, even if you just said, hey, I just need somebody here, I don't need you to do anything else, I think it's fantastic. So like Jody had mentioned, there is support for families, and we also do support veterans who are struggling with at risk of homelessness or homelessness. You might have heard our program called Operation Leave the Streets Behind. They have a phenomenal reach, especially in Ontario. We have a phenomenal reach. The folks at Ontario Command are doing a really good job with supporting. In my previous role, I worked in social services, in frontline in our community. And so actually used to work with the Legion, Ontario Command, in supporting my clients who are accessing services. So if you have come across anybody who is a veteran, who is struggling, who needs that extra bit of help, know that we also can be a point of contact for that as well. The portion that isn't highlighted here, it's not in the slides, but I did want to touch on, is we have something called benevolent fund applications. And so that's really for veterans who are struggling financially. They might be behind in arrears for their mortgage, for hydro, electric, like any of those pieces. There is financial aid that they can access as well. Next. So at the Dominion Command level, so we're the service officers here as well that I spoke about, we're security cleared, we have our back computers. One of the unique pieces for us is that we do a lot of advocacy work. So I spoke again how my previous experience was in social services frontline. My dad served for 32 years. My mom and my stepdad are CIC officers currently. And so getting to be part of the advocacy work and the advocacy pieces has been really special, because it hits home a little bit different when I know exactly what my parents have all sacrificed for their careers. I know what the family has sacrificed. And I know as children of veterans what it is to go through some of those challenges. So it's really great to be part of the conversations and to hear some of the conversations of advocacy. One of the parts that we do at our level is we are on the minister advisory groups. And we try to bring forward what we're hearing from the community, what we're hearing from veterans, and what we're hearing from other key stakeholders who are engaged with veterans organizations or organizations themselves on what might be missing gaps and what we need support for. And we try to bring those forward in those meetings as well. Next. So in terms of, and I won't get too thick into the weeds of this because it can become a little bit, there's a lot, but Veterans Affairs, we had touched upon that we can support with the Veterans Affairs disability applications, and we can touch on departmental reviews and entitlement assessments and all of that sort of stuff. And so that really is a slide for you guys. If you hear any of that language, someone is saying, oh, I think I need, help with an entitlement appeal or an entitlement review, please know that they're more than welcome to reach out to us. Diana, thank you so much. Put our veteran services at legion.ca contact, and that's how you can get folks connected to us for those. One of the pieces in this is that we try to represent not only at that level, but in scans and presentations. So myself is here today. We also try to go to the transitions group. We do a lot of outsourcing in terms of, if we have folks who can attend a meeting in another part of the country that we can't get to for whatever reason, we have our great branch service officers or provincial command service officers who are there to also support and kind of provide our information. Next. And again, so as I noted, we do a lot of advocacy work, but in terms of for you guys, because we're talking about peer support and what that looks like, the Legion does have a very good peer support kind of component as well, which is really great. And so with that, what you see is we have our Buddy Check Coffee, our Operation Vet Build, and we also have BSO Legion OSI representation. And so this is both at the branch levels and at the provincial levels. Here at Dominion Command, we don't have the same sort of footprint that the folks do at the other commands where people are coming in for that sort of stuff. So if you do ever hear anyone who is interested in going to a Buddy Check Coffee or going to Op Vet Build, please definitely either reach out to your provincial command, whichever province you're located in, or your local Legion to see if they are operating something or have the availability to run the program and can you get in, because there are some pretty great connections that are made through that. The other component too is that we try to ensure that our care and services are evidence-based and best practices. So, we've done the mental health first aid training here for our veterans. But we also have to remember that a lot of the folks that are at the Legions are volunteers. So if you go and you speak to them about something, they might not have that same level that you were expecting them to because they're volunteers and they're doing all these other things. They're there to really help kind of guide you. If you need other pieces, please ask them to kind of transfer you up. And one of the provincial command service officers can also help as well. I think another part that I really want everyone to know is that it doesn't matter, if someone doesn't know where to start, let's say they know they need help, but they don't really know what they need help in, that they served or you have served and you think that you might be entitled to something and you're not sure, just send an email to that Veteran Services email contact. And what will happen is our service officer assistants here will kind of triage the email, see the support that might be needed, and then you'll be connected to the appropriate service officer. We do not operate, a crisis line or emergency service line, so I do kind of always highlight that. So if it is time sensitive or you really need to speak to somebody, for our homeless veterans, often in those situations, you don't know when something's going to pop up where you need immediate action. Just know that if you send that email for Operation Leave the Streets Behind, we're trying to get back to people as fast as we can as well. Okay. And then the last part is that, with all of the advocacy that we do and all of the pieces that we touch, we also love to make sure that we are staying current and up to times. So one of the exciting pieces is that the Legion will be putting out an EDI program for Legion members as well, or sorry, for Legion staff. And then we're going to look to see how that expands. So that's a really new initiative that's coming out as well. Yeah. I think that's it for me, Deb.
Thank you so much, Alexa, for taking us through all of the great services and supports that are offered, not only by Dominion Command of the Royal Canadian Legion, but for all of the provincial and territorial commands that veterans and veteran family members will have access to free of charge. It's amazing. So we promised you at the top of the hour that we would post some various national resources to our chat. Thank you, Diana, for doing that. I just want to take a minute to kind of go through this list so that you understand why some of these contacts are there. At the top of the list here, we've got the Mood Disorder Society of Canada's main website and email address for our veteran services and supports, along with our pathways to benefits. That's followed by the Legion Dominion URL and the email address for services and supports. And we've also included the Ontario Command information. We've done that because the bulk of the people that have registered for today's session have registered indicating that they are from Ontario. So there are not only the URL, but a couple of great email IDs that you can send and request information from. Veterans Affairs Canada has a rich amount of information. You may need some assistance from someone at the Legion to help you navigate, as Dawn had mentioned. It was very helpful for him. So their URL is there. And I just want to take a minute to talk about Respect Canada and the forums that they run. Not a lot of people know about Respect Canada and their forums. This is a fantastic opportunity for various organizations to link locally with other veteran organizations. They run spring and fall forums or gatherings. Typically, the gatherings are at the local Royal Canadian Legion. In some cases, they do go into other buildings. But it's really a connection point and an opportunity for veterans to join in. It's free to learn about the various services and supports that are available in coast to coast in the various cities. And it's not just large cities that they hold these forums in. So respectcanada.org, I'd encourage you to go out and have a look at the spring forums that are going to be running shortly. We've certainly got a great partnership here at Mood Disorders with Respect Canada. And I also wanted to mention the Atlas Institute for Veterans and Veteran Family Members. They have a fantastic directory of services. So if you're looking for something specific, you can go to that URL, that link, and that directory is really chunked down into various services and supports that not only are offered by Atlas, but from other organizations like Mood Disorders, for example. So wanted to ensure that you were all aware of that. And this list is not inclusive. There are some fabulous, fabulous other organizations, but I mean, we could put 4 or 5 pages together with regards to other organizations. We certainly partner with a lot more than what is here on the list. So let's go to the next page then, Diana. Thank you. Okay, so your feedback is so important to us. And Diana has posted the anonymous survey link in the chat. We would really appreciate it if you could take a minute and fill out the form. And that will help us know what you thought of this particular survey. The other two seminars have been very, very highly rated, and we thank those who participate in those surveys to let us know and to weigh in on their thoughts. A very special thank you to the Royal Canadian Legion Dominion Command for their sponsorship of our 3 national seminars. It's been a great journey. And a special thank you for all of those that not only are participating today, but that will be watching this on the MDSC YouTube channel. You can also go to our mdsc.ca website, and you'll find the programs listed under the seminars, the National Mental Health Seminars tab. So with that, I want to wrap. We're going to give you 3 minutes back in your day. A very special thank you to all of our speakers today, from Kat to Dawn to Diana and Ken and Alexa. Thank you so very much. Have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.